for joining. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to join this. It's always a joy and privilege and an honor to really do this program and add value to you. I mean, that is my promise to you that this will be a good value for your time. So we're talking about confidence, and really, what is confidence? Confidence is about having faith that you will execute the right behaviors or that you have the ability to get your desired result. It's really faith in yourself. So it's about self-assurance, it's about self-trust. And by that description alone, and I'm sure in your own experience, in your career, in your life so far, you would have experienced the importance of confidence and how hindered and hampered one is when that confidence isn't there. So we're going to be discussing the things that get in the way, and I call them categories of mistakes that get in the way of our confidence. Because within each category, I'm going to mention three, but within each category, there could be a multiple of factors and underlying reasons for each one. And what I find in my work, working with various professionals, as an executive coach, is that often, these categories are intertwined and they're different things, and it's up to each individual that wants to work on their confidence to really unpack, okay, what's getting in my own way and how do I move forward from there. So for those of you that do not know me, I'm Buki Ishola. If you haven't experienced my work before, I'm an executive coach, and the work I do is really focused on helping people, make that transition from being the hardworking, the results-getting employee to the elevated, impactful, savvy professional that gets the recognition and the respect that they desire in the workplace. So my work, my talks, the webinars, the audio sessions, all these events that I run, they're really leading to one thing: help you to be more impactful, more successful in the workplace, and really importantly, realize your potential in the marketplace, realize your potential in your organization. Because the reality is this, right? If you're here, you're talented already, but there are many people who are talented and they just never rise to the height that their talent could take them. So to the extent possible, we want to do all the work within our power, all the work within our remit to make sure that we are not the ones getting in our way. And when there are challenges, we are taking steps to proactively tackle that. And a lot of the work I do is actually born out of my own experience. Confidence was something that I struggled with, and all the areas that I cover in my coaching program, the areas that I struggled with. And I realized that as I did the work, actually things that seemed insurmountable, they actually became easier to deal with. So the coaching on the ultimate goal, like I said, the ultimate goal of this event or the events I run is to help you be more impactful and realize your career potential. If you're still with me, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you are with me. The challenge with the audio session is you don't have the chat function where you can speak to people. So I rely on your interactions to be sure that you are still with me. So thank you. Thank you. I am getting some thumbs up. So let's get into the session. And one last thing before we get into the meat of the session is there is a worksheet that I prepared to help you dig into some of the areas that I'm going to cover. So if you're interested in getting this worksheet, then drop me a direct message after the session, and I will share that with you. Right. So these mistakes are the things that we all experience. The reality is this: there's something called, you may be familiar with the law of polarity. There are two sides to everything, right? So the areas I'm going to cover, what we want to do is make sure we are not on the negative side. We are not making mistakes that are going to hinder our confidence. We want to move to the positive side, because these areas, we all have to experience them. We just need to make sure they're working for us and we're not making mistakes that can be a hindrance. So 3 categories of mistakes that hinder your confidence. The first one is your inner dialogue. Inner dialogue. And that another name for that is your self-dialogue. And what is inner dialogue? This is the conversation that you're having with yourself. The conversation you have with yourself, about others, and about your situation. So it's the conversation you're having with yourself, about others, and about your situation. And some would argue, and I agree with this, it is the most important conversation you have. And if that comes as a surprise to you, then I really want you to wake up and listen to this, because it may well mean that your inner dialogue is running your response in situations, is running your approach to things, but you're not fully conscious of it. So you're not fully aware of it. Now, how do you awaken to what I mean by your inner dialogue? So I want you to think about your professional experience, think about your experiences at work. So for example, perhaps you work, you've just been newly appointed to a panel, you've just gotten a new role, you've gotten a new promotion, you've just been appointed to a board, or whatever situation, and you walk into the room and your first meeting, whether it's virtual or in person, and all you notice is how brilliant other people are. People are sharing their insights, they're sharing your ideas, and you are immediately comparing yourself to them, how you sound, your ideas, you're comparing it to theirs, and you feel you're putting them on a pedestal and you're putting yourself lower down. What do you think is going to happen in that moment? Well, your confidence is going to be lowered, right? Because you're looking around the room and you're seeing how brilliant other people are, and you're telling yourself, okay, maybe I don't deserve to be here. And all this conversation is really happening at the subconscious level. You're not, I mean, who deliberately goes into a room and starts having conversations that's going to hinder their confidence? You don't do this deliberately, but it's just coming up based on your observation, based on your programming, right? And that's what this inner dialogue is about. It's around the dominant thoughts you have in your head about yourself. Are you someone where you're more focused on your weaknesses, your mistakes, perhaps the negative feedback you've received, what others have said to you? And at the end of the day, these are the things that are just ruminating in your head, you're thinking over and over on those things. If you're in that situation and you're thinking over and over on those things, well, how is that going to affect you? The impact is going to be lower confidence, right? So it's very important to think about, again, the exercise here is to think about what are the dominating thoughts that you have in your mind, in your head regularly about yourself, about your career. Are those thoughts empowering or are they disempowering? Because that's what really inner dialogue is. You could have the one that is helpful and you could have the one that's hindering, right? If you're going to elevate your confidence, you are going to have to move from having this hindering inner dialogue to more empowering ones. And the focus of this session is to elevate your awareness. Awareness is the first step to change. So the focus of this session is to really increase your awareness, elevate your awareness so that you can know the areas you need to work on, what you need to deal with. Okay, makes sense? Let me get some reaction on the first point I have made. Give me a thumbs up if this is resonating. And at the end of the session, I am going to open it up to Q&A. So just stick around. And if you have any questions, yes, we'll address that. It's always good to have a conversation because with a lot of these things, like I said, it can be the categories, but there are multiple factors that can play into each category. So the second area of mistake that can hinder our confidence are the messages that we're holding on to, particularly historical messages. Here's the thing, our career, our lives is just one long story. You are only experiencing the current chapter. Whatever chapter you're in now is what you're experiencing, right? There is a history behind you. And it is also the case that your present reality is a product of your past decisions and actions that you are taking in the moment. So, for example, you are here today because in the immediate past, you made the decision to be here, but you are still in the room because you have continued in that decision, you are still choosing to be the room. So your current experience of being able to hear me is both a product of your past decision and the current action that you're taking. What does that mean? It means wherever you find your confidence level at the moment, it is a product. Part of it is a product of your past. And one area in my work, even personally in my life, in my own career and in the people that I work with, one area they're really in this, their confidence, messages that they've received from figures of authority in their life. It could even be way back to what a teacher said to you, or it could be more recent around what a previous boss has mentioned to you, has said to you. You know, I have coached people where they've left the current boss, they're in a new environment, but the negative experiences that they had in the previous employment has gone with them. You know, they're carrying it with them because those messages are still there and it's impacting how they're responding, how they're interacting in the new environment that they are in. So think about, have you had negative feedback, or have you had feedback that just was emotionally crushing? You know, feedback that maybe embarrassed you, you know, that really affected you negatively. Have you walked through that feedback? Or is it a case of you've moved on, but you are still really living in the energy of that message? Again, sometimes I talk to people where they've left the employment, and this is the thing: if you've had some negative feedback in the past, right, the reality is that feedback, let's assume it was fair and it was accurate. The feedback was only a reflection of who you were at that time. If you've moved on into a new environment, you've advanced in experience, you've gotten more experience, the mistakes you made in the past, maybe you wouldn't make it again, but you've moved on. So you've moved on, and that feedback no longer reflects accurately who you are now. But if you're still carrying it within you, if you're still living with it as if it's a reality, then that begins to affect your confidence. So, but the messages that we had, and I named this historical messages, the historical messages that we carry about us, sometimes about others, about what we've heard about ourselves, about our situation. Like, for example, what messages do you have around being Black in the workplace? Many of the clients I coach are Black professionals, and some of us, we might be carrying really negative messages or have negative identities attached to being Black in Western workplaces. Now, if we're not mindful of that, that could create new and additional problems for us. So give me a thumbs up if you are understanding this. But the messages that we have carry is really, really important, and it's very important for you to become aware of become aware of your beliefs and the source of those beliefs, and are they actually grounded in the current reality that you're in, and are they reflective of your experience, reflective of how you've grown and evolved from when you first received that message. The meanings we give to these messages become really, really important. And that's exactly the same thing, the meanings that we give to the events that have happened to us, they become important and they continue to shape us because we are all a product of our past. But thankfully, we are not fixed and we are not confined to the past, because we're a product of our past and also the decisions and the actions we're taking in the moment. The point of this session, the hope of this session is to elevate your awareness and see, okay, what do I need to change? Where do I need to shift my beliefs? Where do I need to shift my understanding? And what messages am I still holding on to? Do I need to let go of so that I can actually become a more confident version of myself? And the third one, so moving on, and let me give you an exercise actually that might bring this home and make it more real. I want you to try to recall a feedback that you've received in the workplace, something that perhaps was a negative message that really impacted you negatively, or you felt crushed by it. How is that feedback how did it affect you then at the time when you received it? And how is it impacting you now? How is it affecting you now? just bring that up and what comes up for you. I think that will be an important, whatever comes up for you is important and well, could be important and is something to think about. So I'll move on um, to the final mistake category, and this is around expectations. One of the mistakes that we can make that could hamper our confidence around the expectations we set for ourselves. You know, I'm a high achiever, I'm highly ambitious, so I'm all about setting high expectations, and that's nice. You may be as well. A lot of the people that I coach are also highly ambitious and have high expectations of themselves, and that is wonderful. But it's also important to remember that expectations, while they are high, they also have to be fair and reasonable. It's very important that the expectations you have of yourself, you are being fair and reasonable. It has to be balanced with reality. Because here's the thing, where you have high expectations, but you do not have the enough substance to deliver those expectations, well, guess what? Is going to lead to you not being as confident, right? High expectations must be supported with adequate preparation. And if you have this conundrum where you have these high expectations of yourself, but at the same time, you have this hindering self-talk, hindering inner dialogue, the way you're viewing yourself, the way you're viewing your situation, the way you're viewing those around you, that's all not supportive of not supportive of the performance that you need to deliver to support to convert your high expectations into reality. So you have this hindering inner dialogue. You may have messages from authority figures from the past that you're still working through, and you had that to high expectations. That just doesn't make a good mix. And I said this, you know, in the line of the work I do, where people have high expectations and they're just unrealistic. So it's starting a new role, and on day one, you want to hit the ground running. You know, you've moved into a new industry. Perhaps, you know, maybe it's a big promotion. There's a learning phase. You know, there's a learning phase. So in as much as you want to hit the ground running, give yourself grace and be realistic to understand that there is a learning curve. And so that, and rather than having so much get so worked up over the expectations such that it's hindering your confidence, it's hindering your well-being, your peace of mind, think about what work do you need to do to elevate the level of knowledge, the expertise, and the preparation that you're bringing to the table. Because obviously, whatever high expectations you have, to be able to convert expectations to results, you need something of substance behind that. So that would be knowledge, expertise, experience, and preparation. So what work do you need to do in that area to support your expectations? And what I find is when people have expectations and they're taking the right step, not hung up on, oh, I have to do this, or this is what people are expecting of me. Because sometimes people get hung up in that and they're hung up in the emotion rather than getting really, really attached to the preparation and the work they need to do to convert the expectations. So like I said, with all these things, there's always a positive and a negative side. What we don't want to do is lean into the negative. We don't want to lean into making mistakes around the self-dialogue we're having about ourselves. We don't want to make mistakes around the messages we're carrying from our past and how we're allowing that to influence how we're seeing ourselves, how we're feeling about ourselves, how we are carrying ourselves in the workplace. And finally, for our expectations, I think I'm all up for high expectations, but make sure they are fair, they're reasonable, and you back them up with activity that would actually allow you to deliver on those expectations. So those are broad categories of mistakes that I see. I think I know about all of this because I have made them in my own journey. And I see it a lot as well in my coaching sessions. Raising your awareness to this can then really begin to help you understand, okay, which area do I not have the level of confidence I would like to have, and what might be responsible for it? I have a worksheet to accompany this short teaching. So if this is something that you're interested in, drop me a direct message and I will be happy to share that worksheet with you. And you can go through, there's some questions there that you could go through and give yourself, and that will help you raise your awareness as to what you're going to do next. Obviously, with all of this, awareness is the first step to change. What comes after is then, okay, how do you fix this? And how do you fix it depends on what comes up for you. So if there's anything that comes up that you would like to discuss, feel free to send me a direct message on LinkedIn and we can have a conversation about that. So that's all I had for you. I'm going to open it up for questions. It was meant to be half an hour, so but I will stay as long as required to answer any questions that people have. So if you have a question, please just react. You can raise up your hand on the react button and I will bring you on stage to have a conversation with me. Any questions, any additions, any observations? This is your moment to speak. This is also your moment to practice public speaking. If you're someone that wanted to work on your public speaking, then this is an opportunity for you to, this is a safe space for you to speak. Any questions? If you want the worksheet, then drop me a message on LinkedIn and I will share that with you. Any questions, any comments? Has this been helpful? If no questions, has this been helpful, give me a thumbs up if this has been helpful. If you learned something new that you are walking away with. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Shafiq. Okay, fantastic. Well, excellent, anyone. It was meant to be a short session, so if there are no questions, do I see any hand up? Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone that has contributed. So like I said, confidence is one of the 6 pillars that I go through in my coaching program. So there's confidence, there's clarity, conflict management, really building capacity. If any of this is of interest to you, feel free to drop me a message. Thank you to everyone that has joined today. You've given up your Friday, not your Friday. Okay, Simon has a question. So, Simon, go ahead and speak. There you are. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak. Hi, Simon. You can unmute and speak. There you go. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you for that contribution. And I like what you said about jittery. I said this, to my clients, that sometimes you have to speak with a shaky voice before you're able to speak with a confident voice. Sometimes people are waiting to become more confident, but that's not how it works, right? It's just like saying but confidence is not something that you can read a book. You can read the books and that gives you knowledge, but knowledge alone, it's actual practicing and doing stuff. Like you don't learn to ride a bike by reading a book. So if you want to build your confidence, one, get really aware of what's interfering with your confidence. You almost have to work backwards. What's interfering with my confidence now? Which is why, I started with this session around just raising your awareness of what may be interfering with yours, and then really start to deal with it and then practice confidence. Because often when we don't know what's blocking us, the actual doing can be impossible. Like, you just don't have it within you to do. But once you realize, and I'll give you an example, when I first started doing videos on LinkedIn. Example, I just had the block with being able to get myself on video. And I had business coaches who told me, Buki, you should do LinkedIn videos. That would really help your business, and not just help your business, but it would actually really help you to serve the audience that you say you want to serve. You've left your corporate job to build a coaching practice to help people. Well, get on videos, let people see you, let people feel your energy. I just could not do it. It was such a big it just felt impossible. And then, for me, what I've learned to do over the years now is that if I'm struggling with something and I've tried and I can't do it by myself, that is a clue that I need external help. Over the years, I have learned that if your life is going to change, if you're going to change level, if you're going to, be able to get over an obstacle, and you've tried by yourself and you haven't succeeded, it's clue that, okay, reach out for external help. So I found someone on LinkedIn that was called himself a camera confidence coach. And, this is, so I couldn't do a video for 3 years. And I hired this guy within 7 days. Like, we only had, from the first coaching session, I was able to do my first video. So this is like what, a 3-year problem, and I solved it in less than 7 days by just investing time, energy, and money. Well, investing money, because money was a big thing. I did try to do it myself, I couldn't. So I'm just saying that to really buttress your point that, don't wait for the confidence, just take steps to build it. And often there's always something. So what was the block? The block for me was I was just so self-conscious, and I didn't even realize, because in person, I was okay in person. But the idea of putting myself on camera where there were people that I don't know, I felt like the whole world was going to see me. And I was just so self-conscious about that. And it was really someone helping me to identify, like, this self-consciousness is actually misplaced. The whole world is not going to see you. Like, most people on LinkedIn, how many people know me? I'm not a celebrity. No one is really interested. Only very few people who are interested in the people who matter. The only people that will watch my videos on LinkedIn are people who are interested in career development. They're not the whole world. So it's around having someone that helps you reframe your thoughts, help you see where you're going wrong, help you reframe your thoughts so that you can choose something more empowering that actually moves you forward and towards the goal that you want to achieve. So hope that, that experience or that sharing that personal story has helped someone to help someone. So thank you, Simon. Any other question, any other addition that anyone would like to contribute? Okay. Nothing else? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you again for joining. It's been a pleasure. So I will go ahead and end the live session. Remember, if you want the worksheet, drop me a message on LinkedIn and I will share that with you. And yeah, I hope to do more of this in future. So please, let's stay connected. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.